We're making pepper steak stir fry. It's packed with flavor, packed with protein. It's super simple to make, and you can change it up, make it your own, use ingredients that you have lying around in your fridge. If you don't want to use beef, you can use chicken too. Let's jump straight in. Starting off, we're going to need 2 bell peppers, 1 red, 1 yellow. You can use any color you want. All we're going to do with this is stand it up and then slice around that core. Doing it this way just prevents all of those seeds going everywhere. You can slice it in half. Just do whatever's easiest for you. Clean it up, remove any pith and seeds that may be left in those pieces. Then just go through and thinly slice. Usually I'd cut this a little bit thicker, but I'm gonna try something a little bit different today and cut these quite thin. That way everything's gonna cook nice and quick. And the longest part about this is actually the prep. Along with that, we need 2 brown or yellow onions. Take off both ends, cut it in half and then peel it. Put these in the half moon position and then thinly slice the whole way across. When you get about 2/3 of the way through, just lay it down flat again and continue slicing safely. You should have something that looks like this. In these bowls, I've got 4 spring onions or scallions. Take off both ends and then separate the roots from the stems. With the roots, we're going to cut these into about 2 to 3 centimeter or about 1 inch pieces. This is going to go in the stir fry. And then with our stems, we're going to thinly slice these into small rounds or cut them on an angle and create a little diagonal shape if you'd like to. This is going to be used as a garnish, but you can use the whole thing in the stir fry. An optional ingredient is 10 grams of coriander or cilantro. I know some people don't like this, so you don't have to use it. And I'm going to be using this in our rice, so it's going to be a nice coriander rice dish. All we're doing with this is scrunching it up and then roughly chopping it. Make sure there's no large leaves or stems. And if it's dirty, just give it a wash for safe measure. Another optional ingredient is 1 long red chili. This is also known as a cayenne pepper. Just thinly slice the whole way across. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to. And you can use something hotter if you're a little bit dangerous, but that is up to you. Now for our sauce, we're going to need 5 cloves of garlic and 10 grams of ginger. Peel the ginger and then run both of them along a microplane to create a paste. Should have this nice smooth paste, and you can mix these together, it's completely fine. Last but not least is 800 grams or 1.7 pounds of beef. You can use chicken if you'd like to, it does make it a little bit cheaper. I've used rump for this, but you can use flank or skirt, ribeye, scotch, porterhouse, eye fillet, that choice is all yours. And what I've done with these is put them in the freezer for about 30 minutes. It's going to firm up and make it a lot easier and safer and more accurate to slice. Then slice these across the grain into thin strips the whole way across. Now with the knife work out the way, add 80 milliliters of light soy sauce to a bowl, 40 milliliters or 40 grams of oyster sauce. You can also use hoisin if you prefer that. 1/4 cup or 60 milliliters of beef or chicken stock. I've used beef. That garlic and ginger paste that we made up before, if it comes out the bowl. And to get the sauce nice and thick, 1 tablespoon or 10 grams of corn flour. I would usually use ground white pepper for something like this, but today I'm changing it up and we're using cracked black pepper. 15 cracks worth. Whisk this up, mainly concentrating on breaking that garlic and ginger up, also making sure that that corn flour hasn't decided to clump up as well. Only starts to thicken up sauces when it gets hot anyway. Once you have that done, you have a nice smooth sauce. This can be popped aside for the time being. Now when you're ready to cook, place the saucepan onto your stovetop. Add in 300 grams of washed jasmine rice. That's also why it's in a sieve. And 500 milliliters of cold water. Whack this over a high heat. Add in just a little bit of salt. Give it a mix around to prevent it from clumping up, and then bring this to a boil. With this now at a boil, place on a lid, reduce the heat to low. We're going to let this cook for 12 minutes undisturbed, so that just means don't take the lid off. Now after 12 minutes, we can turn this off and then leave the lid on for a final 4 minutes. Carefully remove the lid, add in the coriander or cilantro if you're using it, and all we need to do is start fluffing this up and mixing that coriander through there with a fork or a spatula. And with that done, you'll have this nice soft fluffy rice that looks like this that we can then pop aside for the time being.
This right here is the macro card for the rice, including the recipe as well as the serving size.
For the stir fry, you can use a wok or a large pan like what I'm using. Whack this over a high heat.
When the pan's nice and hot, add in 1 tablespoon of peanut oil or vegetable oil, or really any neutral flavored oil of your choice. Add in the sliced up steak, and I do recommend doing this in batches, that way we can get nice color on that. Add in a little bit of salt, just remember that we will be adding soy sauce later, so go easy on that. And of course, some cracked black pepper. 10 cracks worth. Spread the steak out so it's not sitting on top of one another, and let this cook for about 1.5 minutes to build up some color, then mix it through. We're going to cook this for a total of about 2 to 2.5 minutes, just until it's cooked through and no longer visibly pink. Repeat with any remaining batches, and once that's done, add in the remaining 1 tablespoon of peanut oil or any neutral flavored oil. Add in the onions and the chopped up capsicums or bell peppers, and this time I'm not going to be adding salt, we're going to be adding cracked black pepper instead, 15 cracks worth. Do the same thing that we did with the steak, spread it out so it's not sitting on top of one another. Let this sit for about 2 minutes to build some colour and then start stir frying it, so mix it all through. We're going to cook this for a total of about 5 minutes until it's nice and browned off, it's translucent and those capsicums have softened up. At this point, add in the spring onion or scallion and the chili if you're using it. Continue mixing it through and only stir fry for a further 1 minute. We want those pieces in there to be nice and crunchy and not completely falling apart. Add the cooked steak back in along with any resting juices. Mix this all through for those flavors to become friends and cook this for about 30 seconds to get the heat back into the meat. Give the sauce a quick whisk, making sure that corn flour is broken up and mixed through. Add it into the pan. Add in a little bit more cracked black pepper if you wish to do so. You can also use ground white pepper, but cracked black pepper is better. Turn the heat of the pan down to a medium, then start mixing this all through and make sure that sauce is nice and thick. This is going to take about 30 seconds to 1 minute, and what you're looking for is something like this that can then be removed from the stovetop. And this right here is the pepper steak stir fry macro card, again with all of the ingredients and the serving size. When it comes to serving up, you can use the weights that I've supplied on those macro cards or weigh it out yourself. Every ingredient's different, so it might be different to what I've got. Put the rice on one side and then that pepper steak stir fry on the other. I'm garnishing it with those spring onion stems, but you can garnish it with some fresh coriander as well if you'd like to, or even some sesame seeds. And what we've got is this delicious pepper steak stir fry. It looks incredible and smells amazing. And this right here is the final macro card with everything included, which is the stir fry and the rice.
Once you have these portioned out, we'll let them cool down for about 15 to 20 minutes and then we can start placing on the lids. They'll last up to 3 days in the fridge. You could possibly push a fourth, but 3 days is always that safe bet, and they go in the freezer for up to 3 months. If you have them frozen, allow them to thaw overnight in the fridge before trying to reheat. And I've deliberately made these extra saucy, so when it comes to reheating, there isn't any worry about rehydrating them or anything. It will just heat up really nicely the way it is. You can do it in a microwave or in a pan, but if you do it in a pan, you're gonna mix the rice together. Unless you cook the rice separately, that choice is all yours. There is only one thing left to do, and that is, of course, we can then dig in. I reckon that's probably the best stir-fry meal prep that we've done on the channel so far. The meat's super soft and tender without the need of velveting. Of course you can if you wanted to. Chili adds that nice little tingle without it being over the top, and then the addition of all of that cracked black pepper as well just increases that. Rice is super soft and fluffy with the addition of the coriander for that nice fragrant touch. Everything about it is delicious, and it's super simple to make. Use up ingredients that you have in the fridge too, change it up, make it your own. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, leave a comment for that algorithm, and subscribe if you haven't already. It's all free and helps me out massively. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.